here we are live. And I feel like an old man because I'm having to be shown how to do this. My name's Kevin Clark. I'm a primary therapist and program manager at Recovery Unplugged, the Virginia location. I'm just here to answer questions, any kind of questions having to do with mental health and substance use. The message I really want to give to everybody is that, we don't have to go through this alone. Don't have to go through we're all going through some really challenging times right now. Whether you have addiction or not, isolation is extremely difficult. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to figure out this technology stuff. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, soon hopefully some questions will be showing up and I'll be answering them. But in the meantime, I guess I want to talk about coping with depression and anxiety and cravings. So depression, is really difficult when you're cut off from the people you love. Connection is so vital for us for having good mental health. Connection is vital for recovery. So I know for people even like me who have been sober for over a decade, for anybody, no matter how long you've been sober, this is just a really hard time because all of a sudden it's a massive change and it's affecting everybody. So I really, feel for the people who are just now, entering recovery, because it's got to be so challenging to form these connections. There are Zoom meetings. You can do telehealth therapy, which I've been having to learn how to do and, challenge me as a clinician. But it's just, it's difficult. Some things that are really helpful for depression, are getting sunlight. They say if you get 20 minutes a day, I know it's been a little dreary here in Northern Virginia this week, but if you can get it 20 minutes of sunlight a day, it's going to make you feel a good bit better. You can even get those lights that, have the sunlight. So exercise is great. If you can exercise for 30 minutes a day, maybe even just 3 times a week, you should be feeling quite a bit better. So, and another thing, connection. Call the people you love, call the people that mean something to you. We all need each other. People need people. I say it all the time. So that's kind of how a few things you can do to cope with depression. Anxiety is a different animal. There's a lot of things that are, provoking a lot of fear in people right now. I try not to watch too much of the news because I can get, within a few minutes I can get just about everything I need. I know in, the 12-step room, some people say we don't have a drinking problem, we have a thinking problem. So these anxious thoughts can really snowball and turn into, catastrophic thinking. So just be mindful of when you take that first think. I heard, there's that cliche, think. After the third think, stop thinking. Call somebody, reach out, take a walk. There's nature, yoga, meditation have all been proven to produce GABA in your premedial cortex. GABA is a suppressant, so it relaxes you. Benzodiazepines, alcohol, and opioids all hit on the receptors in your brain, but it's naturally occurring. So if you can put on some yoga videos, I do it with my kids sometimes. It's fun. And meditation, obviously, is something that's helpful right now I'm a big advocate for meditation. I think of it, it's like this transistor radio, and you're kind of going back and forth on the dial, and you listen a little bit longer, and you finally like kind of tune in, and you get to hear the song. And as you listen a little bit more to the song, you begin to start to pick up on the lyrics. And then after you start to pick up on the lyrics for a while, you listen even longer, you kind of start to be able to drop down in the space between the lyrics and the space between the musical notes. And in that space, you can recreate, you can change your thinking, and really just like facilitate behavioral changes that way as well. So I'm a big advocate for meditation. And there's many different avenues for it. Lots of different guided meditations you can check out. So, yeah, meditation, yoga, nature. The cool thing about the nature thing is even if you put a plant in your room or your office, which that might be the exact same thing right now. If you're like me, I still have one office, but my other office has become part of my bedroom here. And, just having a plant in here actually is supposed to relax you a little bit. You probably noticed that it's relaxing, when you're, walking by the water, taking a walk in nature. You start to notice that you feel calm. When you're at the beach, just listening to the waves roll in. Then another thing you can do is, and this is a technique that is used as a part of EMDR to treat trauma, is you could develop your own safe place. So for me, when I close my eyes and I picture my safe place, I think of Cape Cod. I went there to my Grammys every summer, and there was a screened-in porch with a hard surface, like a hard concrete ground and a thin green mat on it. And there was these, the white wrought iron lawn furniture with like the yellow and green kind of 70s pattern on it. And, if I look out through the screen, the white wood frames around the porch, I can see the white pine in the corner. I can hear the birds chirping at the bird feeder over there. I can kind of smell the sea, and the breeze that's coming in. I look along the back fence. I can see the beautiful big hydrangea bushes, just purple and blue blooms. And then inside, I have my comforter with me, which, it's important to have a thing or a person that you feel totally safe with. So for me, my comforter is my Grammy, and wearing a red sweater and just her curly gray hair. And, she's just smiling. Her smile is like a smile of wisdom. And I just knew I could trust her with anything. So anyway, that's the idea of what a safe place is. You can develop your own safe place. And if you're ever feeling like real panicky and real stressed, that can even be sort of a meditation. Just drop down into that safe place and, really go through all the details. Sometimes it even helps to say them out loud. It just makes it, more real. So that's one suggestion for dealing with anxiety. Hopefully we'll get some questions coming in here soon. And then there's coping with cravings, right? Cravings can come from, if you're feeling more anxious and you're feeling more depressed, there's a good chance you might start to experience some, stronger cravings. Now, cravings, there's, different ways to manage cravings. I like the mindfulness approach, where you kind of, recognize that your brain is sending you this false sense of urgency. It's saying like, I need to get high. No, you don't need to get high. Trust me. Nobody needs to get high. It's not a life and death. There's no real emergency happening. So reminding myself that my brain is sending me a false signal, can be helpful because it takes some of the shame out of it. Because sometimes we're like, well, why am I thinking about drinking? I've been sober for X amount of days. I've been clean for X amount of years. I shouldn't be thinking about using. So when I know it's just like my brain sending me this false signal, based on some kind of faulty wiring that went on from needs not being met the way that they needed to be, it makes it easier to kind of cope with because sometimes, so if you can recognize that and you can kind of get between it, you can refocus the craving. And they say exercise is great for that, or a creative endeavor. So if you guys play any musical instruments, do you like to draw, journaling, just something to kind of like, humans have a need for creativity. So being able to kind of I should probably go back to that. Just being able to find something creative, even just taking a walk could be good. And it's also good to tell on yourself, talk about it. When I got clean, I was the only person in the program I was in that was making it. The other people were dying or, or dropping out or, getting re-involved with the criminal justice system. And I asked my therapist, Carl Street, who helped save my life and inspired me to become a therapist. I asked him, I said, why do you think I'm making it and these guys aren't? And he told me it was my, I got an email. Hopefully everything's working. Oh, there's questions being asked? I'm not seeing them. See, I feel like an old man. I'm not that old. Where? Maybe I need to scroll down more? Well, if there's questions being asked, I apologize for not answering them. I did not really know how this works. Oh, wow. Oh, hi, Tatiana. Oh, hi, Lisa. Okay, I figured it out. Miracles do happen. Albert Einstein says there's two ways you can live life, as though nothing is a miracle or as though everything is a miracle, and I choose the latter. Recovery Unplugged. Oh, there's a lot. Oh, any tips for getting connected to support while new to recovery? Alright, now I need that box to go away. While new to recovery while having to stay at home. Well, yeah, like I said, there's Zoom AA meetings, there's Zoom NA meetings, and it is challenging. It is difficult, but, at the same time, when you tune into these, what's great about, doing it is you find out that you're not alone in your struggles, and there's other people going through the exact same thing you are, and you're able to connect that way. And even that, although we'd love to be in person with people, and, the AA meetings are a good thing on Zoom. Do you think there's a benefit to having a routine in recovery? If so, what types of things should people incorporate into their routines during these unprecedented times? Well, like I was saying, meditation could be a really important part of giving yourself structure and routine, because sometimes we have to, especially if you've been laid off for a job, you're going to have to kind of create your own structure. So, sometimes for me in early recovery, one of the basic things is like writing a to-do list. So really mapping out my whole day and, trying to decide like, okay, call sponsor at 3 p.m., go to a noon meeting. Really simple stuff, even like eat lunch, because, we need to be paying attention to how much are we sleeping, are we getting, proper nutrition, because I know if you're like me, you might be eating a little bit more sugar right now. So meditation, a good way is journaling is something that's really helpful. Get the thoughts out of your head, get them onto paper, call somebody, be in touch. I said that, call your sponsor. Exercise. I guess I kind of answered the routine question already when I was talking about anxiety. How do I deal with the anxiety of things opening up again? I've been cooped up for so long. The idea of going back into the real world makes me anxious. Yeah, and that is like a really good question actually, because anxiety is defined by avoidance. So the more that we, avoid what makes us anxious, the more anxious we get the next time we're confronted with it. A lot of us have social anxiety, so the fact that we're not socializing now makes it really challenging. So what I would say to someone who's, I would still say like even the Zoom meetings is going to be helpful. Going on walks, spending time with a few people that you can spend time with, just have some kind of socialization so you're not totally being jarred, by going back out there. So my recommendation is don't avoid people entirely. Make sure you're with people. That was a good question, actually. See if there's more questions. And to Jason's question again, I think you can, some of the meetings they even ask like, hey, if you want to sponsor, just like they have like a list of people that are willing to be a sponsor. You can private message people, so that's what's helpful there. Find somebody you can talk to regularly. The boredom is driving me crazy. Isolating, just trying to sleep the days away. I know this is all bad and it's going to lead to not good things. Yeah, the boredom is really difficult for a lot of people. And that a lot of people say boredom can be a big trigger for them. Now, I believe we're all creative people. So if we really think about like, what are some things that I love to do? And if I'm not able to do those things right now, maybe I can research on it. Just do things that are active. Sometimes, what I told a client to do recently? She's been struggling with boredom in early recovery because, she wants to have fun. She's young, she's clean. So I asked her, what did a 7-year-old you like to do? And she said, be outside. And I thought of my kids. I got 5-year-old twins. And I told her, why don't you go, I was like, do you have any bubbles? You can go blow bubbles outside. So let that kid in you play. It really wants to. Have you ever seen a bored 7-year-old? It doesn't happen all too often. The only time they really learn boredom is because they hear their mom and dad saying it. I know. Sometimes my son says he's bored, and he's the least boring guy ever, trust me. Hardest thing about social distancing in my recovery. Well, since I've been, clean and sober for 13 plus years, I do have a pretty good network of guys. So my inner circle, I still meet with every Tuesday, through, I guess it's like G-Chat or something, but, a video meeting. So those guys I'm so connected with, it's not as difficult, that I'm seeing them online, because I've been meeting with them every Tuesday for years. But, again, this is where, like, having been around and known people for a while, it's a little bit easier. Whereas if you're new, it's going to be, that much more challenging to do that. There's more comments. So I feel like I'm answering these questions. Let me know if I'm not, if you guys need any more clarity and I need to answer stuff more. Whoops. Oh, hey. Oh, hi Jennifer. I was your favorite therapist. We are doing very well, thank you. I hope you're doing well too. It's really good to hear from you. So yeah, social distancing, not ideal. A lot of us have a hard time socializing anyway. Some of us are introverted, but even introverted people need people. And the fact of the matter is like, when we're getting clean from addiction, we we've been in shackles for so long, some of us 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, that we really want to like experience freedom. So the people, again, I really feel for you guys getting clean right now, because you want to experience freedom and the world's half shut down. So really getting creative, ask yourself, what did I want to do when I was a kid? Find ways to do it. Find ways to, some self-improvement, some self-help stuff. I'm doing something called The Artist Way right now, and I'm writing a book because of it. A book that I've been wanting to write for a long time and would never have done had I not picked it up. Music, how has music helped me personally with recovery? Well, music is, our medicine, and, to have a recovery playlist is something that could be really helpful right now. A lot of people, we know that music can, evoke certain feelings and elicit, specific memories. So if there's, music that takes me to the beach, maybe I'm listening to Bob Marley, that's always been like my calm down music. So if I'm getting a little bit irritable and angry, I put on some Bob Marley or, maybe some Soja, and I just start to, kind of mellow out. Now, working at Recovery Unplugged has even changed my relationship with music, because now I really can see how it can be a tool. When I see someone who's, struggling with hopelessness, and I ask them what song gives them hope, and you put on the song, you can visibly see that person change. Music is a great communicator. It's a great way to communicate with people right now. If you don't know the words, if you can't find the words to what you're trying to say to somebody, there's probably already a song that says it. Sometimes we get people that come into treatment and they don't know really they've never really shared their feelings. They can't really open up. They don't say anything their first week. And then you ask them to play a song, they put on Johnny Cash covering Hurt, and, it tells you a whole lot about that person. So music is a great way to connect. Use it to connect with the people in your life. I have a pump-up song. So whenever I'm feeling like, overwhelmed with life, or, having a hard time accepting things for what they are, or maybe like I'm struggling, I'm not feeling that grateful this morning, and all of a sudden I'm saying I have to go to work, and I'm forgetting that I get to go to work. If I put on Iron Maiden, Hallowed Be Thy Name, that song will pump me up. It doesn't matter like how low I am, that song, brings me up, because it was in a video part of a pro skateboarder from a video, Welcome to Hell, that I used to watch when I was a teenager all the time, and it used to pump me up, and just a huge inspiration. So it transports me back to when I was 13 years old, and just like getting hyped to go out there and just like, shred on the streets as much as possible. Which, by the way, I still do skateboard, and I'm doing social distancing skateboarding. So having to find empty parking lots and stay in, a safe space away from one of my good friends who I've been meeting up with pretty regularly. So I guess that kind of answers the question. Music can really help, calm me down, pump me up, communicate my feelings. It's been a great aspect of my recovery. There's a lot of great musicians in recovery. I love to listen to Jason Isbell, the Avett Brothers. Oh, there's another comment here. Yeah, just like everything, it's taken that. Yeah, Lao Tzu said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So just walk out the door and go outside. Yeah, 5-year-old, our kids are great teachers, that. They really teach me a lot. They taught me how to I can start my day over whenever I want, by like physically laying down, pretending to be asleep, and then waking up and being like, oh, good morning, Daddy. That was a technique. I hadn't tried that one, but sometimes doing something physical like that is even more impactful. Gratitude lists in the morning. What are my thoughts on them? It is never a bad time of day to write a gratitude list. let's see. I'm getting emails, but I'm not going to check them, because then I'll get behind on these questions. It's never a bad time of day to do a gratitude list, so writing one in the morning is great. Jennifer, when I think it's great to do a gratitude list at night, especially if you're doing like a 10-step daily inventory, and maybe you just looked at where you've been like dishonest and fearful, then look at like where have I like, done well, examine your assets, because any good business takes stock of its of its assets, just like it takes stock of like the fault, the goods, the damaged goods. So what I think it's more important even to write a gratitude list at night, because I kind of can review my day, and by doing that, I even see the challenges from the day, and I have like the gift of hindsight, where I'm able to have like a different perspective and see like, wow, like that challenging interaction with that person is actually something I can be grateful for because they're a great teacher for me. And what you put into it's input output. So if you're putting gratitude into your mind, like what you're putting into your mind before you go to sleep, imprints on your unconscious mind. You've heard that old adage, don't let the sun set on your anger. And I think that's why. When I was in college, I would study like the 30 minutes before I went to sleep. So then when I was in front of the material, it'd be very easy for me. So if you go to bed grateful, you're a lot more likely to wake up grateful. I was watching The Handmaid's Tale with my wife, and I was waking up feeling kind of depressed and empty, and I had to stop watching that show at night. And actually, I stopped watching it altogether. But yeah, so be mindful of like what you're watching right now. If you're struggling with fear, it might not be a good idea to watch something that like creates more fear for you. But yeah, never a bad time of day for gratitude. I'm a big believer in gratitude because when we believe that we have stuff to be grateful for, there's the confirmation bias. It's a psychological phenomena that where we look for things to confirm our beliefs. So if I write a gratitude list for every day for 4 months, because they know it takes sometimes up to 4 months to like create those new pathways in our brain, of doing something every day. It's not just like 28 days. It can take up to 4 months to make it more of an automatic thing. So when you write these gratitude lists, yeah, you're welcome, and you do this regularly, you start to change your beliefs, because a lot of us were focused on negative things, entering recovery. So when I start to believe that I have plenty and that I have enough, that starts to kind of like, gratitude kind of feeds itself. The confirmation bias, parallels kind of to the metaphysical law of attraction. So if I think I don't have enough, that's all I see. Addiction is like all about lack, right? It's all about destination consciousness. Gratitude is all about journey consciousness. It's all about presence. It's all about abundance in the here and now. So yeah, I know some people are like, oh, I hate going to gratitude meetings. Well, if you want to change the way you look at things, write a gratitude list. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. Oh, yeah, because this person said see more. Well, you're not being selfish, Your problems are valid. Even though everybody's going through this, it's still okay to not feel okay, and it's still okay to say, I don't like this. Acceptance is a weird thing. We hear it's the answer to all our problems. But I have a friend who helped me get sober. He's passed away now. He used to say, it's like your green beans. Like, you don't have to like them, but you have to eat them. So, yes, it's helpful to know that everyone's going through it, but it's okay for you to like not feel okay with what's going on right now. I mean, you're a human being, and that's a perfectly normal response, and I think you're exactly where you need to be, and just like, persevere. Don't give up. Don't quit before the next miracle, because, this is going to get over, and we can grow through this, and we can come together, and we can come out better on the other side, and hopefully, really speak the language of the heart to each other when we do, because we all are in this together. I'm a big believer in what comes from the heart goes to the heart, and when you live in love, you can't go wrong. Love is never wrong. So, yeah, really difficult time to get clean. Reach out to us if you need any help. It's a good time to get into treatment if, you're watching this and maybe you're still struggling with the Groundhog Day of addiction, getting up every day, the same thing, the hollow, empty existence that it is. Reach out for help. Go to a meeting, come to treatment. There is help available, and we want to help you. Oh, wow. There's something else here. There's got to be a way I can make these easier to read. All right. Wow, okay. Sorry, I got to read this. So summer, you and your mother were like peanut butter and jelly. That's a really sweet metaphor. And why is my computer giving me a hard time? In a very easy way. I know things aren't simple, but simply put and not making things so complex. Yeah, well, I think it's really important to explain ways that, people can understand. I think, sometimes some of the most profound information, put simply, is the most life-changing information. For instance, the 4 Agreements, a book by Don Miguel Ruiz, very simple stuff, The 12 Steps, Bill Wilson called it spiritual kindergarten, very simple stuff, but so impactful when explained, with the right voice. So thank you for that. So, yeah, I know sometimes, I would say for someone who's struggling with, bipolar disorder, and they're opposed to medication, I would at least be trying to talk to a therapist on a regular basis, because really getting some insight into, how you can better manage your mood is going to be important. I mean, sleep hygiene is huge for people who suffer from bipolar disorder. Your diet's going to be really important. Again, like the simple stuff. And, I understand not wanting to take medication, but, if someone's diabetic, would it be wrong for them to take insulin? I know there's more stigma with mental health, but your mind is still a part of your body, so really it's all just health. And when you're struggling with anger and rage, having a really physical activity can help. When I was in high school, I had some anger issues, and my parents, because they were wise, and they got me, some boxing stuff so I could just hit this bag outside. So it's finding some kind of physical release. Sometimes when you're angry, just some primal scream therapy inside your car. And if you don't know what that is, just screaming at the top of your lungs just to kind of vent, so you're not Yeah, health is health. So you're not hurting, you're not taking it, because anger is okay. We all have it, right? It's just how we express it and what we do with it. Anger can be a motivator. It teaches us, like, like what upsets us. So it's a pointer. But, what's wrong is when, like, we lash out verbally or even physically, at someone because we feel angry. That's when it's not okay. But we're all doing the best we can. And even sometimes with anger, it's like, draw your feelings. My mom, she she is very smart. She would always tell me, like, just take some deep breaths, which we know deep breathing is great for many reasons. But when I was feeling angry as a kid, she'd tell me, take some deep breaths. She would have me sit down and draw my feelings. And she has this funny story where she's in the kitchen cooking dinner, and I'm in the living room at my table, like, ferociously working with some crayons, probably. And I was like, hey, Mom, how do you spell... And then I said the B word, and I don't know. So she was really ahead of the curve as far as, like, helping me with creative outlets. So my doctors have me on medications, and sometimes I feel they help, but out of the blue, the unknown, and questions of why gets in my head, and the rage builds. So let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. So maybe tell me, like, what is it you're afraid of in the unknown? And sometimes, like, when, someone really close to me who's going through cancer right now, she would say, it's not, like, she's a great role model for me and really a huge inspiration. I care for her dearly. She would say, why not me? So sometimes it's better to say why not than why, and we'll have a lot more peaceful experience. If you're on long-term pain meds through a doctor, but you kind of don't want to be, well, you could, depending on how bad you don't want to be, and if you think it's an issue, you could seek treatment for it. There are some treatment programs that even have pain management programs, because they can use acupuncture, massage. Sometimes it's just, even taking a CBT, even taking, like, a cognitive behavioral therapy approach because, sometimes it's just as simple as redirecting our thinking. Really depends on how severe the chronic pain is. I'm not someone who suffers from too much chronic pain, but I do know that there are other options besides, narcotics. And if it's a concern, I would definitely, talk to somebody about it, like a professional. Like, call one. Because, a lot of people kind of worry about being on those for lengthy periods of time. But again, like, if you're taking medications as prescribed and it's what you need to take and that's what the doctors are prescribing, but it's a whole different thing if you're taking it and you don't need to, or the motivation behind you taking it. A lot of motivation behind addiction is because I want to feel different. It's very much a feelings disease, full flight from reality. I want to not feel what I'm feeling, instead of just sitting and being with it, and, being with your feeling with some curiosity, which is something I'm really trying to put into practice. One thing in recovery that I wish I had learned sooner was that it's not always about feeling better, but becoming better at feeling. I thought it was always about feeling better. Early on, I still kind of stayed in that mindset, like, what food's going to make me feel better, or if I buy something, am I going to feel better? Oh, wait. About your mother. Yeah, that is really difficult. They say everybody grieves differently, you know, and grief changes over time. And maybe, like, I don't know, is there any way that you can, you know, sometimes what I recommend, like, you can carry your mother's memory in a positive way, like what are some of the gifts that the relationship you had with your mom, like, brought you? What were some of the things she taught you? You know, how can, like, you live her memory forward, you know, moving forward, you know, with, like, you know, really a deep appreciation of the time you guys had together. You know, sometimes when someone's struggling, when they're, like, hurting with grief, I do, you know, I went through Safe Place earlier, but I asked them to think of, like, a really happy memory with that person. And I have them describe it, you know, down to the last detail. And, you know, I mean, that's something beautiful that you can do. Sometimes it's helpful to write, you know, your deceased loved one a letter. Says we're having trouble playing the video. Hopefully, I don't know if this video is still going through or not. It doesn't look like it is. Let me check my email here. Oh. Let's see if this is working now. Nope. Oh, the live is still active. Thank you, Jennifer. Sorry. Okay, the video is still working. Yeah, so sometimes what's been really helpful for clients is to write their, you know, deceased parent a letter. It can be very therapeutic. You're all good out there. All right, cool. I just can't see myself, which is probably a good thing. Yeah, it's very therapeutic sometimes to write a letter, because sometimes you haven't had a conversation with that person in a long time, and sometimes it's good just to kind of tell them where you're at. You know, what would you say to them? What would you say to them today if you could say anything to them today? You know, grief is difficult because it changes, but it doesn't necessarily. Oh, thank you. It changes, but it doesn't necessarily, you know, go away. So I don't know if I was helpful at all for you. You could always also go see someone who's specializes in grief counseling. If you're in Northern Virginia, I know there's actually a free grief counseling service in Annandale. So there are, like, just if you Google it, I'm sure you'll find it. Oh, 2 new comments. Okay. Totally okay. However you're doing it, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Find people, you know, that are supportive that you can talk to, and, you know, because sometimes, like, it wouldn't be great for me to, like, talk to my dad about, you know, having a craving, but it might be the perfect thing I can talk to my network or my sponsor about. Okay, any other brain busters? I have a therapist mug. We only have a little bit of time left, guys. Hopefully I've said some things that have been helpful. Just remember, you are not alone. That was one of the greatest messages that I ever received when I entered into recovery. And somebody told me that, and I finally believed it for the first time. And in case no one's told you this today, I love you. I care about you, and you deserve recovery. You deserve happiness. You deserve a better life. That's a great question. What do you recommend for people whose family doesn't understand addiction? Well, there's Al-Anon, and I know that that's going on video as well. So there's Zoom Al-Anon meetings that you could go to. Reading literature is helpful. One of the greatest books on addiction I've ever read is In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Dr. Gabor Mate. And it really takes a whole biopsychosocial approach, biological, psychological, and sociological. So, and that's if your family is willing to educate yourself, because the thing is, when we say addiction is a family disease, we're not saying like, oh, because your dad was addicted, you're going to be addicted, although the the conditioning does get passed down. But when we say addiction is a family disease, it's because it's such a serious disease, a life and death disease, that it takes a toll on the whole family. It throws things out of balance. People switch roles. So when, the person who's suffering from addiction starts to get better and they have a program of recovery, it's of equal importance that the people in the family get their own program of recovery, because, they got sicker too as your disease progressed. So, as in they think we should. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of times, they think, well, you can just choose it. Why would you choose your drugs over someone you love, over your spouse, over your kids? And it was nice to see you too, Jennifer. Oh, that's awesome. You stay well too. So yeah, it's a misunderstanding, because we know we love our kids, and that's why, shame really comes in, and we get stuck in that shame cycle of thinking that we're, doing something wrong, that there's something, defective with us. But like I said, it centers in our mind and in our thinking, but it's also a brain disease, which takes a lot of the shame out of it once you start to understand that. Because, people who suffer from addiction they're not bad people. They're sick people, trying to get well. They're not bad people trying to get good. And I can't emphasize that enough. You're welcome. I think I answered everybody's questions tonight. Let's see, anything I didn't talk about that I wanted to. No, I think I covered all the topics. Yeah, shame is a terrible thing, and I guess I'll close talking about that. Guilt makes me feel bad because I think I did something bad. Shame makes me think I'm a bad person because I think I did something bad. And like I said, I've been around for a while, and I haven't met any bad people yet trying to get good. I've only met sick people trying to get better. Oh, you're well. Oh, thanks, Colleen. Got some support watching. Is there anything else that I would want to say? Well, it's been a real privilege to be here and to answer questions, and depending on how long this thing goes for, maybe I'll be back to answer more questions. I think I have the technology part figured out now. So that is a good thing. Thanks, man. Said I'm the bomb. Insightful. Oh, you're welcome. Love you too, buddy. I'm grateful for you. That's my best friend. He got sober a week before I did. We've known each other a long time. Yep. That we are here for you. Recovery Unplugged is here for you during this trying time. Give us a call if you're an alumni. Get active in like the alumni meetings that are going on every week. Don't let you don't have to be alone in this. You're not alone in this, so you don't have to feel that way. Thanks, guys. Very nice. I appreciate Recovery Unplugged. The book by Gabor Mate is In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, and I've read quite a few books about addiction, and it's the single best that I've ever read. He's a brilliant guy. Listen to a podcast with him, and he might change your perspective on some things. You're welcome. This is what I love to do, so happy to be here doing it. Oh, thanks, Colin. Yeah, I think it's really cool that Recovery Unplugged is doing this different thing every day. The meditation Mondays, the front porch Sundays. Super cool. I don't know. And if you do have, difficulty, I think I said this already, but I'll go over it again and reinforce it. If you have difficulty sometimes, like, with your family, and this, right now a lot of us are kind of like spending more time with our family than we ordinarily would, so they kind of are great mirrors for us in a lot of ways. But if you're struggling, with communication with your family, you can, and you're in recovery, you could get on these Zoom meetings and kind of like, there's a different kind of family there. There's a unity there. Individually, the people in the 12-step rooms, are can be a mess. But collectively, it's doing this miraculous thing. It's the fastest growing organization that nobody wants to join, and that speaks to its efficacy. And, it's saving lives. So some people find a second family there, I guess, was the long and short of the point I was trying to make. Let's see. My coffee mug shows you inside a therapist's brain. It's got a bladder control, cerebral region, active listening center. Yes, the virtual meetings are. I'm still going to my home group once a week. And I think a lot more people are probably going to be going to virtual meetings after this is all over. It kind of takes a lot of the excuses out of going to a meeting, like, oh, I gotta, drive there, or, well, once I get there, what if I'm uncomfortable? I mean, you can leave whenever you want just by clicking a button. Although I encourage you to stay. A lot of times when discomfort arises, it's an opportunity for us to sit through it and to grow. Oh, thanks. I mean, recovery is largely about, learning how to be okay being uncomfortable to get to a place of authentic comfort. So in that way, this can be a great opportunity. This is like infancy or early recovery. This is like boot camp for the, really practicing spiritual principles. If you're stuck inside with your, spouse and children, or mother-in-law or father-in-law or parents, great opportunity to practice love and tolerance and patience, acceptance. Great opportunity to practice setting boundaries, asking people what you need. And if you don't know what you need, you could start by even just looking up a list of human needs. I think you'll be surprised that humans have a ton of needs. We are complex creatures. Yeah, so beneficial in the long run. I've actually never gotten up and walked out of a meeting no matter how uncomfortable I've gotten. And I think that's something that if we all practice, we get to a place. Because, addiction's not comfortable. Anytime we're using something, a substance outside of ourselves to try and get comfortable, we're already entering in, inauthenticity. So, and if you're like me, when you're in the active addiction, it's just, you're it's always like, it's like a hunger that's never satisfied. And that's not comfortable. It's a hollow existence. It's like living in black and white versus living in in living color. Sunsets lose their beauty with active addiction, but it returns in recovery. I feel like I'm saying a lot in a short period of time. But there's a long one. Let's see. When do I give up on my 27-year-old son? Went into rehab for prescribed painkiller addiction. Tried every tough love. Yeah, hopefully, I recommend that you go to Al-Anon and set the boundaries that you need to set. I don't think we ever need to give up on anybody because it's never too late to get better. It's never too late to get recovery. Although sometimes it is necessary to detach with love. But again, you want to get with other people that are in your shoes, so you're not alone in this. And so, you can really understand how they've coped with similar situations with their children or their partners who are struggling with addiction. Yeah, a lot of people, go from opiate addiction to alcohol addiction. And Amanda, don't shit on yourself. It is a messy habit. You don't have to, it's not that you should be looking at it in a more positive way, it's that you can look at it in a more positive way. You can choose to, And a good way to do that, start writing gratitude lists. If you, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Which is a really powerful way to, have a perceptual shift. And you will make it through. I truly believe that. Stay connected. Ask for help. Work your recovery muscle memory. Call your sponsor. That's why you call your sponsor every day. It's not because maybe you have something to say, but you're developing this habit. So when your ass is on fire, you pick up the phone and you call the sponsor right away because there's that recovery muscle memory. So work your recovery muscles, guys. We can get through this together, and I love you all.